Welcome, welcome, welcome. A very good afternoon to you, wherever you may be across the world, Watford fans. Welcome to Orns pre-match live. I'm Omar, and I hope that you are having a good day so far here on this Saturday in the first day of autumn. That's right, the first day of autumn, and Watford will be hoping that they can get a win today at Ellen Road against Leeds United. It's going to be an exciting game, I think. These are two teams that know how to play really good counter-attacking football, very pacey sides, and you're going to get a very physical matchup today with Leeds. I think Watford will have to be on guard for it, and discipline will have to be the order of the day for Watford. Cooler heads must prevail in this matchup if Watford are to win it. It's going to be a difficult game. I do think Watford are going to find a way through and past Leeds United, who beat them, of course, the last two times, to the best of my memory. Then Watford faced them when both teams were back in the Premier League. I think back to 2021-22. Watford lost this fixture at Elland Road in October of 2021, a 1-0 defeat when Cisco was the manager. Wet, rainy conditions there, and a couple of Watford injuries to boot. I remember that one well. And then the game at Vicarage Road, where Watford also lost to Leeds. I think it was April of 2022. Watford only says we need to win. I predict 2-0 Watford. Very good there, Watford only. Nice to have you aboard. Hoping that you are enjoying it. I hope that you also enjoy the game today, wherever you may be watching it from, whether you're going to Elland Road or whether you are somewhere else watching it. It's good to have you aboard. And thank you very much indeed for contributing your message today on Orns pre-match. I should start with the Watford starting lineup, and I'm not entirely surprised by this lineup. The lineup is largely unchanged from the match on Wednesday against West Bromwich Albion. And here is what it is. Backman, the captain, of course, in goal. Sierralta occupying that midfield that defensive midfield portion that he has now been graduated to and apparently enjoys. You've got Hoot and Porteous. It's great to see Ryan Porteous back, so he is healthy. He probably just suffered a knock the other day. I was very worried about that with him because he has done some solid business in that very shaky defense so far, but he is back, thank goodness, alongside Wes Hoot. And then, of course, you've got Jamal Lewis making his first Watford start. I think that's good news. I thought that Morris would still start because of what I thought was still Jamal Lewis coming to grips with the game. But obviously now Jamal Lewis is much more healthy and fit to start these games now with that the game in his legs, so to speak. And so Jamal Lewis will start at left back over Morris. Now, look, I think a number of us, including yours truly, had talked about James Morris, and I think the championship becoming a bit too big for him. In the last couple of games, he has not looked very good, hasn't really impressed. I think outside of the game against QPR, outside of the game against Plymouth, James Morris has not done a lot here to move the needle. If you're a Watford fan, at least if you're a Watford fan like me, thinking that I've not been too impressed by James Morris, and I think the manager agrees with me and all of us who think the same way. Because as you remember, I keep going back to the Stoke versus Watford match a few weeks ago. Bio needed that ball in the middle, and James Morris just did not supply it to him. And you could see Bio was very upset with that. And after that game, Val benched James Morris. James Morris was not injured. He was benched, and he didn't play again. And the only reason he did play again about 3 games later or so was because Ken Sema got injured. So that was a really big thing. I think that the manager, in some ways, has soured a little bit on James Morris. James Morris has not really provided that kind of spark that he did last season in many respects. And so, as a result of that, James Morris now is benched again. Didn't really impress on Wednesday night, didn't really impress at all against Birmingham the Saturday before. And so I think now James Morris is going to be spending a lot of time on the bench because Jamal Lewis is an upgrade, obviously an upgrade at left back. He has slotted in well when he's come off the bench, Jamal Lewis. And so now this will be his first run out from the start of the match for Watford. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. He's a good player. He came from Newcastle. He's a good player, Jamal Lewis. I think he's on loan here from Newcastle. So we'll see how that goes. Now, the rest of the lineup, Tom Ince is there on the right-hand side. He'll be part of the forward three. And then in the middle, of course, Rajovic. And on the left-hand side, Matthias Martins, who was given the Watford man of the match by the fans. For me, the Orns man of the match would have been, despite the draw on Wednesday, would have been Kone, who gets the start again today. Kone, his second consecutive start. I think Kone is becoming very comfortable in the game. And I also think that Val really likes him in that spot where he is. TDB on the bench again, loser in the starting lineup again, as he has been pretty much throughout, except the time when he got benched, of course, for disciplinary reasons for that one half of football. Now, on the bench alongside Bio and Morris and TDB are the likes of, Roberts in goal. I don't know who Roberts is. Someone could tell me who Roberts is. But I don't know who that is. I just don't. So I'll just tell you that now. Jeremy Ngakia, who was starting these games, on the bench now in favor of Ryan Andrews. Ryan Andrews starts this match and Ngakia doesn't. I think Ryan Andrews has earned the start the last couple of games. I thought Ngakia would be the man that Val would stick with, but that has not happened here. And so as a result, now you have Ryan Andrews starting the game, Ngakia coming off the bench. And if you look at this game and you look at the rest of the bench, you've got Georgie coming off the bench, Pollock coming off the bench, Espria coming off the bench. And as I say, TDB, Bio, Morris, and Kayembe coming off the bench. All of those are your bench players today as Watford travel to Elland Road to take on Leeds United. The Leeds United, a very robust team. You know, they've had some Premiership experience, Premier League experience. Of course, they were in the Premier League last season, got relegated at the end of last season. So they've got a nucleus of players who who were Premier League experienced players and who are Premier League experienced players. You have the likes of Luke Ayling, the captain. I think he's still captain of Leeds. And you've also got the likes of Struck, Pascal Struck, I guess his name was Struck. And you've got the likes of other players like Wilfried Nonto. Now, Nonto wants out of Leeds. He wants out of there. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays. They used to have Sinistera used to play for Leeds. He is now at Bournemouth. So that has, I think, hurt Leeds. Sinistera was really good for them. A really good winger, just flew down the line. He was absolutely brilliant for Leeds. He now is at Bournemouth because he wanted out. He wants Premier League football like everybody does. So he's gone. Wilfried Nonto, he wants a transfer out of Leeds as well. So, you know, that'll be interesting to see how that goes. And Nonto's probably going to start the game today unless he's already, sitting on the bench. But Daniel Farker, the Leeds manager, you know him from Norwich City, is the man who is taking over at Leeds this season. Leeds have drawn all of their home championship games this season, and it'll be interesting to see how they do on this one. But I think Elland Road, regardless of the fact that Leeds have drawn all their games at home in the championship, when Leeds Watford goes on, it's a really big battle. It gets very physical. As I said earlier, Watford are going to have to really watch for that. You've got Leeds players who can get very down and dirty. Struck is one of them in that back four for Leeds. I would be very, very wary of him. I'll never forget this. There was a game a couple of seasons ago between Leeds and Liverpool at Elland Road, and Struck put in a very nasty challenge against Harvey Elliott at Liverpool. And, you know, Harvey Elliott was out for months and months. So, you know, you've got to be careful with this. Football's a very physical game. I hope that Watford are on their P's and Q's. Do not get lulled into the physical battle. That's what Leeds like. Obviously, you're not going to be a wallflower out there, but you've got to pick your spots in this game because you don't want to get carded. So you've got to be very, very careful as far as that's concerned. Watford Only comes in with a message, and Watford Only says Ishmael is doing well. He's talking, of course. Watford Only, of course, is talking about the Watford head coach, the Watford manager, and he also, as does Watford Only. So hopefully the attendance today improves against Middlesbrough, like the Queen's Park Rangers 4-0 game. I think you're referring to, are you talking about Leeds United? Or are you talking about Watford against Middlesbrough coming up in a few weeks? I'm not clear about what you're saying. Do you mean Leeds United, Watford Only? I'm sure you can tell me about that. to clarify it, just to be sure. But Watford today travel to Elland Road to take on a Leeds side who have drawn all their games at home in the Championship this season. And the thing about Elland Road, and if you're going to Elland Road, safe travels to you. I hope you have a good time up there, Watford fans. It would be nice to get 3 points. It's going to be a challenge to get 3 points. I think Watford are capable of getting it done. I predicted 2-1 in the Friday Focus, which you can watch back. I did the Friday Focus and predicted 2-1 to Watford. But we'll see about it. Now, Watford only has come back with the message Middlesbrough at home next week. I thought you meant that. I was figuring you meant the next home game. So yeah, I'm concerned about that, by the way. Um, uh, Watford only. The thing is that I was stunned by how many empty seats there were at the Vic from the home fans. My surmising as to why that happened, Watford only, is that it was just a horrible night weather-wise. It was raining cats and dogs all day long, and at the game, it was absolutely teeming down. And it's midweek, so people going to work the next day. And when the game is on Sky, on your Sky Red button or your Red box or whatever, Red button channel. Most people in that situation, Watford only, are going to be staying home for that. And so it made it very easy for people not to be trudging through that rain to the Vic on Wednesday night. And they probably said, well, look, why not just stay dry, stay home, watch the game there? And so I think that's what happened. But I was stunned by how many empty seats there were, considering Watford were coming off the back of a win just a few days earlier against Birmingham. So yeah, I think definitely we'll probably see a rise in attendance next week against Middlesbrough at the Vic. Let's hope so anyway, because again, these lads are playing good football. It's not like last season where I was saying, you know what, if you're not happy with the football, you're not happy with the owner, you stay away from the ground if you choose to. This season, while people still obviously have some grave reservations about the ownership, to say the least, we are happier, I would guess, as Watford fans at large, if I may be so bold to speak for many of them. I think the vast majority of the Watford fan base are happier with the style of play this season and with the way the team is performing on the pitch so far, the men's first team. And so that is what I say to you, Watford only. Thanks for the message. And thank you, David Harmon, for your kind message. David Harmon writes in and says, love your work, mate. Well, thank you, mate. Really appreciate that, David. Hope you're well. I hope you're doing all right. Hope everything's good for you. And I hope that we get 3 points today here, of course, when we go to Elland Road. The game's coming up in the next 45 minutes or so at the top of the next hour. It is the first day, by the way, of autumn. So the autumn equinox has arrived. First game of autumn. Summer is officially over. My goodness me, summer's over. Where did the summer go? I was playing, this is slightly off topic, but I was playing the Frank Sinatra's September of My Years, his great album from the 1960s, which I absolutely love. One of my favorite Frank Sinatra albums. I think it's his best one. And he was singing on a song on the same title, September of My Years. Where did it all go? All the springs and summers of my years, where did they all go to? And it's so true. Summer went by so fast. The summer transfer window flew by. The first few games flew by. Even the international break for the 2 weeks flew by. And now we're into the autumn. Scary stuff for some of us who are a little bit older. Yeah, and so I hope everybody is good and feeling good, most importantly. Get your flu shot, by the way. That's another unrelated topic. Get your flu shot. Please, very important to do that as the winter comes and people get sick. And, of course, all the other shots out there you should be looking at too. But anyway, good to see everybody in here. Time for a point and 3 points. Let's go, you Orns, says David Harmon. All right, David. Good job for you. David Harmon there. Time for a pint. Yes, indeed. It is almost 2:20 in the afternoon in the United Kingdom. It's a bit earlier than that here in California. I don't know if I'll be having a pint just yet, but I might later. We'll see about that, especially if Watford get 3 points today, David. Thank you very much, mate, for your kind words. Hornet Boy says, come on, you Orns. Come on, you Hornets. Well done, Hornet Boy. Nice to see you here. Thank you very much for your comments and your contribution. Yawns, says Watford only. Nice to see you again, Watford only. Thank you. And David Harmon says, You want. Well done, David Harmon. Good to see you, mate. Thank you very much for the comments as we get along here toward the last few minutes of this edition of Orns pre-match. Excited to be here on this Saturday afternoon. It is 2:20 in the United Kingdom. It is 6:20 in the morning here in California as we get ready for this next game between Leeds and Watford. And here is what Watford only says: we will keep a clean sheet because of Porteous. You know what? I hope so. You might be right. Hornet Boy has said, I'm going for 1-0 to Watford. Very possibly that might be the result that we see. I am predicting 2-1 to Watford today. But either way, both or all three of us, Hornet Boy, Watford only, and yours truly, are predicting a Watford win today against Leeds United, who have not been able to win a game at home in the Championship. They've drawn all three of their home matches so far in the Championship. Leeds are a very good side, though. I would not put anything past Leeds. Look, they just came down from the Premier League. They've got a lot to prove to people. They want to let people know that they are for real. And of course, they do have a lot of good players. A number of them still in the team from the Premier League last season. And of course, they do have a little bit of interesting times. The fact that Wilfried Nonto is disaffected, unhappy at Leeds, and wants out. He's made that very clear. He may still yet play in this game today. I won't be shocked about that. I've not checked Leeds lineup. So he's probably either on the bench or starting. He's a very good player, Nonto. And Sinisterra, who they had, Luis Sinisterra, who was there last season, was an absolute dynamite player for them. He has left. He's gone to Bournemouth now, so he's in the Premier League playing. So we'll see. On the subject of what Watford only said, Ryan Porteous, that's for me the biggest news of this day. I was very concerned about Porteous. He got hurt in the game against West Bromwich Albion on Wednesday, and he could not continue, and it didn't look good. But apparently, I didn't look at any reports since I'm talking to you on this, but apparently he probably just suffered a knock or something because he's well enough to start the game, which is a real relief. Now, we know the defense is shaky. The Watford defense will make you nervous. It's still coming to grips with the system, but, I would prefer, quite frankly, to have Sierralta back in that four at the back in the central defensive pairing. That's where I think he's best. But he apparently likes to be in central defensive midfield, anchoring the midfield that way. He apparently likes that. Sometimes it's worked very well for him, and other times you get a little bit nervous. But so far, so good. We'll see what happens in this game with the defense. It's always a nervous thing for me to be watching the way the defense operates. But I do agree with Watford only. I think Ryan Porteous is a real anchor in there. I think he's the most reliable defender we've got. Wes Hoot, I thought, was that. He's a little bit on and off. I think for me with Wes Hoot, Ryan Porteous is a warrior. I like what he's doing. I think he's had a really good last few games. When he went into the international break for Scotland, he was outstanding. He had a brilliant all-star. I keep saying all-star. He had a brilliant international break, scored a goal against Cyprus for Scotland. He was very good against England when England won that game at Hampden Park during that international break. And he's been good. He's built momentum off of that. So King Kone, by the way. So that's what I think about Ryan Porteous. And long may he continue doing what he's been doing. He has been a steady anchor in an otherwise shaky Watford defense. And he has his moments too, but he has been very good, I think, so far. David Harmon says, King Kone will come of age today. 2-0, says David Harmon, predicting that score on the Watford winning the game today. And Kone may score today. We will see. He's been very, very good these last two games. Coming off the bench last Saturday against Birmingham, I thought was brilliant. And I thought he was even better than that on Wednesday night when he started the game. For only the second time this season, he started, I think, the game against Stevenage in the League Cup, and we know what happened in that game. And this was, I think, his first championship start this season for Watford, if I am not mistaken. Today, his second championship start for Watford and his third start overall this season. Kone, I think, has really grown now into the English game, and I like what I am seeing from him. Now, what do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to get goals today? Oh, just as I said that, Hornet Boy has come in with his message. Hornet Boy says, I think Rajovic will score today. I think that's very possible as well. I'm also going with Loser getting a goal today. Loser, who has been good but quiet in a number of these games lately. He did score on opening day against QPR. I'm going to pick, and I think Rajovic will score. I agree with you, Hornet Boy. I'm picking Loser to score Watford's goal. And I'll go better than that. I'm predicting he'll score Watford's first goal because I'm thinking Watford are going to win this thing 2-1 today. So I'm going to go with Loser scoring first, the first Watford goal in this game. So we will see if that happens. As for Hornet Boy, we'll see if you're correct on Rajovic. I think you're going to be right about Rajovic. I do not see this game ending 0-0. When these two teams play, there's usually at least 3 or 4 goals in the mix at Elland Road. Although the last time, as I mentioned earlier, when these two teams played the last time at Elland Road, when both were in the Premier League, it was only 1 goal that settled things. In the second half, I think it was maybe the first half, Leeds won the game by a score of 1-0. I think it was a first half goal in the game there. It was that was a miserable game. That was October of 2021. So we're very close, almost 2 years almost to October of 2023. We're very close to the 2-year mark of that game. Cisco was in charge back then. Sierralta suffered a nasty injury in that game, as did Josh King. Josh King bounced back the very next time they played because that was an international break. If I remember, it was literally the last game before the international break. And if you remember this very carefully, Watford fans watching, you will remember that during that international break, after Leeds beat us that day, Cisco got fired. That was the 7th game of the season in the Premier League that season. And so some of us were going, what? Some of us and others of us as Watford fans were going, yeah, you know what? Maybe the Premier League was too big for Cisco. Speaking of Cisco, by the way, he's managing at Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, pardon me. It's not been good. Not been good there either. It's not been good for Sheffield Wednesday this season. It's been a very rough go for Cisco. I don't know if he's still managing them. Have they got rid of him yet? Or is he still there? I don't know. But anyway, Sheffield Wednesday is not my concern. I'm just wondering about how Cisco, where his status is as far as that goes. But look, the bottom line is that today it should be a very robust game. As I said earlier, you're going to expect a lot of physicality in this game. Leeds like to play 4-4-2. Watford, of course, the customary 4-3-3. I think Watford are going to end up changing their shape in this game, as they have done. And I would like to see more of Bayo and Rajovic up front together in a 4-4-2. I'd like to see how that relationship develops, because I actually think that can be a very useful relationship for Watford if they try that formation. I'd like to see it employed from the start. Obviously, it means you'd have to do a couple of different things to the midfield to effectuate it. But you know what? I'd like to see it happen sometime. I think these early games you can probably experiment a bit more with your starting lineup. And even though Watford's squad is rather thin, I think you can still mix and match. Look, don't forget, you still have the likes of TDB on the bench, and TDB did not play the game on Wednesday. But I think that you still can do a few things with this lineup and switch things about a bit if you have to. But Val's very regimented about what he wants, and I like it because he has a real definite plan of attack and where he wants his players to be in and out of possession. So here are my keys as we wind down here the final minute or so of this Orns pre-match live. And thank you everybody for joining. Don't forget to subscribe to the Orns WFC YouTube channel that you are watching right now. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, like the videos. It really would be great, and I appreciate your support. Thank you very much for that. But I think the keys to this game, once again, are to keep a cool head. Leeds are physical. Watford have got to keep a cool head. They've got to avoid the silly mistakes that have dogged them the last few games, Birmingham and West Brom in particular, and of course in the Coventry game before that, before the international break, and also avoid the silly free kicks. Discipline, game management is going to be really important in this game. If Watford score first, you've got to manage out the next 10 minutes of the game and then go again. That is what Watford are going to have to do, and do the same thing at the end of the half, at the beginning of the second half, and of course at the end of the game. But whenever you score, you're always the most vulnerable moments. You're always at your most vulnerable moments when you've scored. So Watford have to do that part of the game better. Don't think out there, just do. Be sensible, but don't think about your football, just play it. And just get on the front foot and work together as a team. Those are my parting words for the Golden Boys today. It is now 2:30 in the afternoon in the United Kingdom and 6:30 in the morning here in California. Join me later, won't you, on Twitter or X, if they call it now, at WFC for the Orns post-match on Twitter Spaces. And of course, about half an hour after that, half an hour after the game at least ends, you can also join me at WFC on Instagram for Orns Extra on Instagram Live. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. It's really great to have you chiming in today on all matters Watford and this game. If you are traveling to Elland Road, if you're there, be safe. Safe travels back to wherever you're coming from, whether it's from Watford or anywhere else across the UK or anywhere else across the world. Be safe in your travels back. Enjoy the game today. And let's see if the Golden Boys can get these 3 points against a very spirited Leeds side. And those fans are very passionate there as well. So take care of yourselves. I'm Omar. And until later on, you